Thanks for staying with us. Now, despite the rising costs of holidays, new research has found that over 30% of travellers are still skipping out on their travel insurance.
Joining us now to discuss is travel journalist. You know it's getting to summer when no one's sitting down ready to go talking about our holidays.
Oh, evenings are long, we're talking travel again.
Eoghan Corry, it's lovely to have you here. I think you're of two camps where you're like, oh my God, I need travel insurance. I'd be absolutely mortified. 30% of people, is travel insurance necessary?
And it's a demographic thing. The younger people are the ones that seem to, travel has become so normal. We're travelling to Spain like we would to Galway in a bus. So the notion of having to take out extra insurance to do it is it's
just because they go on Thursday, they'll book the flight, book the cheap hotel, and they're gone, and they're not thinking.
People go on the Ryanair website, like some members of my own family, and they would see, $29.99. They don't even know what country they've been in. They go away for the Skype for the weekend, and it's great fun. But that's the generation we live in. It's marvellous. But the thing about travel insurance is, if you get it right before you start getting it wrong. There's a lot of assumptions out there that you have fairly good cover, and you do. Things have moved on. The EHIC card, the European card that gets you immediate access to emergency cover. You can get into A&E in your hotel in Spain. When it gets complicated, it's repatriation. You can't take your flight home. A family member has to go out to look after things. That's where travel insurance kicks in.
So let's break it down then. If you are taking a yearly, I suppose a yearly one is the most economical one. Is it? What does it cover? What are you covered for?
Right. There are three types of trip, three types of policy. Three types of trip are your up to 14 days. That would be the old package holiday. Yeah. If you're only doing one of those a year, a single trip insurance makes sense. Second one is the annual one, which a lot of people have now. It's not that expensive. You get it for about 80 to 90 euro. That covers all, no matter how many trips you take during the year. The third one would be the backpacker policy or the long-term policy. There are people of a demographic who winter out in Spain, and obviously people who take off to Australia and spend 6 months there, whatever. That's a separate policy again. Get that policy right. The three types of policy then will be a very basic, the very cheapest. There's a sort of a mid-term one, and then there's a more complex one. And then some people have a business policy, which it was a bigger thing in years gone by, but now that's sort of merged into the mid-term, into the other three types of policy. Not very expensive. GoFundMe is not a travel insurance. You see it all the time. Somebody goes away, they don't have insurance, and we have a GoFundMe campaign to get them home.
No, it's not.
It's so simple. So €80, an annual policy, everything's solved.
Can we just break it down for someone who's going on their 2 weeks to Spain or Portugal, whatever? How much should that cost you? And obviously, if you're going through a travel agent, are you covered there anyway?
Yeah, no. Travel agents and tour operators are increasingly, and this is a thing that's moved in since the pandemic, increasingly making sure that everybody has a travel insurance policy before they even take the booking. Oh. And that's really important because the travel insurance policy, you're going to complicated things that you do when you're away. Your common or garden trip, your roller coaster stuff, things like that, always covered. But some of the other ones, like the parasailing and all those things, the paragliding you do on the beach of the Canary Islands, they're all wonderful experiences. I love doing them, but sometimes your travel insurance isn't up to that. Make sure United States medical costs are horrendously high. Yeah. You need an extra premium to be covered in the United States, and you need an extra premium for winter sports, ordinary ski. If you're going off-piste, you mightn't be covered, unless you're with a guide. So all of those little squidgy bits at the end, they're really worth looking at before you take off.
And for America, you've got to go to the max with travel insurance. It's so terrifying, people getting caught.
Absolutely.
If you've left the country, can you get... No,
absolutely not. This is really, really important. Even on the flight, I've seen people with we're closing the doors, turn off your phones, suddenly saying, I haven't got the travel insurance. Go on to multitrip.com or getcover.ie and then get your policy. But once you've landed, you can't. So it's that ticking clock. Now, it's a very simple thing to do when you've got worked out what your trip is, because that will reflect what your travel policy is, to do it straight away or do it close to takeoff to get your 12 months out of it. But make sure you do it early in the trip, as you're planning the trip. It's as important as your passport.
And prices then, give us a breakdown on, say, the cheapest to the most expensive.
Right.
So what is your basic cheap Like that will give you your basic cover that you need going away.
30 euro for 14 days.
30 euro.
30 euro for 14 days. It would be normal. You can get it for about 55, 56 for annual, but mainly it's about 80. If you VHI or one of those, there's a 20% discount. A little bit complicated, but that's what you're looking at. 30 for 14, 80 for... Now, you can pay an awful lot more when you've had your pre-existing conditions, because they're really important. What happens, and what, the insurance industry will deny this, but what is suspected is that when the big claim comes in, they trawl through the questions you've answered. And a simple pre-existing condition, let's say a UTI that you've had, a urinary tract infection, high blood pressure, things like that, they all have to be declared, because the insurance company are legally entitled to say, we would have sold you a different policy. So pre-existing conditions, really important.
So if you've had a heart attack or something
they don't actually add to the cost. But it is important.
You have to declare it.
Asthma is a big one in Ireland. We suffer heavily from asthma. All our children that have asthma. It's declare it. Because if you don't, nobody says anything when you take out the policy. It's when the claim goes in, they start.
With travel insurance, we're seeing car insurance go up, we're seeing home insurance go up. Is travel insurance going up?
No, it's coming down.
It's coming down?
Yeah, we'd have paid more for an annual policy in the 80s than we're doing now. Part of that is the number of people travelling and the sort of the scale and the alignment of the international health system. Like most of it, more than 70% of our summer holidays are to two countries, Spain and Portugal. We're really comfortable with the health systems there. Everybody knows how it works. Where it gets complicated, let's say you break a leg on a ski slope, everybody knows how it works. It's all sorted. When it gets complicated, it's something they don't recognise. It doesn't fit into the boxes. That's when they challenge. That's when they start saying, we're only liable for 50% of that. Very difficult for... They do this for a living every day of the week. Very difficult for someone who's putting in the first claim in their life to argue against an insurance company. It's worth getting representation.
Only as far as you're concerned, who are the big reputable companies in this country? There must be
5 or 6 of them, absolutely. AXA would be one, Get Cover, Multi-Tripped, Blue Insurance Group.
So there's plenty out there.
There's plenty out there. And the brand that you're looking at aren't actually the people insuring you. Insurance is complicated. It's the underwriter that will come back to, and they're the ones who raise the question. And an awful lot of the really complicated stuff is not declaring medical conditions, pre-medical conditions, and also an accident that is in that margin of what they call soft adventure into hard adventure. Gotcha. You've got to you've also got to work out that if you're have an injury, something like driving on a road that isn't part of the public network, that's a big one in Italy. All of those sort of things. Anything that brings you out of what is normal.
But it's vitally important to get insured.
Really important. Do not travel without it. Most expensive decision you've ever made if you don't.
Eoghan Corry.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back with you on Ireland Day very shortly.